can have everything. Okay, who do we have on the plaintiff's side?
Laura Clemens and Joseph Barnett.
Okay, and Mr. Barnett, are you a party to this action or are you a witness?
I'm a party.
Okay.
He's actually on the injunction.
Okay, I just need to ask some of these questions for the record, okay?
Oh.
We are on the record.
Okay.
So I'm also asking your names. I have it here, but we want to have a record of it.
Okay.
Okay, and sir, for the record, your name.
Gary Butler.
Okay, and you are the defendant in this
Yes.
case? All right. And you intend, all three of you intend to testify?
As I have witnesses as well.
Okay, all three of these
Yes.
people are witnesses? Okay, we will get your names on the record as you come up to testify, okay? But for the three of you, if you'll please raise your right hand, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury of law?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Ms. Clemens, why are we here today?
We're here because this has been an ongoing situation since I've purchased the home and moved in. It's gone from a neighbor dispute and rolled into a harassment issue. I no longer feel safe in my home or leaving my home or even at my place of work.
Okay, can you give me some specific, first of all, can you tell me what is your relationship to the defendant?
He's my next door neighbor.
Okay, and do you have any other pending court actions other than this one today?
No.
Okay, and can you tell me what has the defendant done and when?
It started with the letters here. We started getting anonymous notes on our door regarding my dog barking, which has been the beginning of the issue. And it has rolled into, our neighbor coming over at 3 a.m., pounding on the door. it's rolled into him calling me at work and me having to leave work in order to come home and bring my dog inside. It has continued with my concern that he's threatened my dog, and I thought something was going to happen. I actually sent an email to a friend just to protect myself before it happened. Then I came home from work one evening, and my dogs were both burned with hot oil over the fence. I have a police report stating that it came from between our two properties. I can't prove who did it.
Okay, can you tell me the date of that?
Yeah, August 21st, 2010.
Okay, so that has been since the original injunction?
No, the oil happened prior to the injunction, and after it happened, I realized that the issue has gone above and beyond anything I can handle myself.
Okay.
So I filed for the injunction.
Okay, let me ask you, since the injunction, what has brought you in today?
An appealment.
Okay.
He appealed the court. Since the injunction's been in place, I feel safer. He can't come into my work. I work 2 blocks from my work. I still drive to work now, but he can't come in. And he can't yell things at me while I'm coming home or come over onto my property. It has stopped that. The day the injunction...
He was doing that prior to the injunction?
Was he coming over and coming into my work? Yes.
Okay. But since the injunction...
He stopped doing it. And I try to avoid the contact. I don't do anything in my neighborhood. I don't spend a lot of time on my front porch or on my property in general now to avoid the situation. I don't want it to escalate. This is my first house. If I could sell it, I would. I called my realtor, but I would have to pay back the $8,000 check that I got from the government. So I have to keep my house for another year. I would just like to know that in the next year that I can be comfortable being on my property without someone yelling at me or threatening me or coming into my work or, I mean, really, it's become a huge issue. I don't know anybody other on the block other than him, and that's the interaction that I've had, and I don't feel safe. I just don't. I live next door to him. If it's coming over his fence, even if he's not doing it, somebody on his property is.
Okay.
And it's frightening.
And I'm sorry, what was your name?
Joseph Barnett.
Okay, Mr. Barnett, what do you have to say?
I just pretty much reiterating what Laura said. We've had several instances of him harassing us. Before it started as, like she said, just a neighbor dispute, saying, you know, bring your dog in when it barks. We fixed the situation where whenever we would ever hear the dog barking, we would just go outside to bring her in. Now it's after the oil incident happened. Now she just goes out to go to the restroom, so she's pretty much an indoor dog, probably about 23 hours of the day. She doesn't spend a big amount of time outside. But before the oil incident, it was just, like I said, a neighbor dispute where he was just, you know, harassing us about the dog. Then it turned into one day on July 10th.
Okay, has this been...
This has been ongoing for several months.
Okay, has anything happened since the injunction was
There's
issued?
just been two small things that have happened. One we called the police and made a note of it. The second we didn't. That just happened yesterday. The thing that happened, I believe it happened. What day was it? What was it happened? Which one was it?
Which one are you looking for?
The one that was added on to it.
Oh, it's this one.
Oh yes, it's this one right here. We called the police on September 13th. One, because Gary Butler had something on his property pointing into our backyard. We couldn't tell if it was a video camera or what it was, but it was sitting on the corner right by his studio that's facing our backyard. His property is just to the south, and it was facing north into our property. We weren't sure what it was, but when we called the police officer, she got there. It was one of the
It's like a bark deterrent.
yeah, it's one of those things. But also, we made a note to the police officer to let her know that there were several ping pong balls in our backyard, and we just wanted to make a note of it because before before the injunction or before our dog got harmed with the oil, there would have been no point made of that. But since that happened and the oil came from that side of the property, now we're worried that anything that comes from that side of the property could harm our dog.
Okay. Does your dog bark?
Yes.
Have you had any complaints, police or any official kind of complaints?
No, ma'am.
No.
Has Mr. Barnett, or Mr. Barnett?
Butler.
Mr. Butler, has Mr. Butler ever come to you and expressed that your dog barks?
The only thing that we've gotten were anonymous letters that we came to find out that were from him.
Okay, so you were notified by the defendant that he was not happy with the dog barking
Yes.
situation. Okay, did you attempt to do anything?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you do?
We like I
Our
said,
dog's not an outdoor
she's not
dog
outside
anymore.
any
If
no
we're
longer.
not home, she's not outside by herself. To be honest, the time that the oil was thrown over the fence was a break between me being at work, him coming home, and him running to the store.
Okay, and I'm not saying it's true. Assuming the reason your dog doesn't go out anymore is because of the hot oil, that would be something, if it happened, that he did. What did you do in terms of preventing your dog from barking?
Bringing her
Bring her
inside.
in.
She stays
She's
inside.
only out, yeah.
Like I said, 23 hours of the day.
Okay, but you said she stays in 23 hours a day after the oil incident.
Oh no, prior to that as well. She was only outside for periods of time when we were home, so
When we
that
were
we
home.
could monitor it. Because a lot of the times when we would get notes, it would be when we weren't home. So we would get notes, and sometimes the dog would be in, and sometimes it would be out. I think the point is that we didn't know who left the notes because we weren't home when they got left.
Okay, when you say you didn't know who left the notes, you knew it wasn't going to be somebody 2 blocks over. That
Exactly.
It was probably going to be your neighbor. I'm
Right.
assuming you have this neighbor and you probably have a neighbor on the other side.
Yes, ma'am.
So you had to have an idea
Right.
Yes.
Right.
that it was your neighbor.
Yes, ma'am.
Exactly.
Okay.
And to be honest, to the furthest of, I've really addressed this because I understand who wants a barking dog all day, every day? But our dog isn't a 24/7 outdoor dog. To be honest, she's a very indoor dog. She may be outside for an hour or two. She's not outside all day, and I don't work a daytime job, so I'm home. I work at night, and when it's at nighttime, she's typically inside.
Okay. Mr. Butler.
Yes.
And I should note, when I'm writing, I'm taking notes. I'm paying attention. Okay, Mr. Butler, what do you have to say?
I have lived on Mitchell Street for 16 years. I have never encountered a situation like this before. I get along with all of my neighbors, and these are just a few that could make it on short notice to testify.
And I'm going to
one time.
listen to him, but I want to
understand.
first hear from you.
I got back from being abroad for a year, and my daughter and her husband and my granddaughter were living in the house. They closed on the house and left the dog unattended until they moved in. It was probably about a month of, they would bring food and water for it, but the dog was outside literally barking probably 18, 19 hours a day. We were joking, like, when does this dog sleep or eat or anything? And so when I first got back, I met them. They seemed really nice, introduced ourselves, and they apologized about the dog, but nothing was resolved. And I got the information form, the barking dog complaint petition, and I have 13 signatures from my neighbors stating that the problem is constant.
Okay.
And
Have you seen this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what I'm going to ask you to do, you don't need to interact with one another. You don't need to speak with one another. Could you just show them as a courtesy the petition and then I'd like to see it. But this way they'll know that there's absolutely no reason for you to interact with one another.
Oh, could you please? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, continue.
so I did get the